Before I start talking about my work as a filmmaker, I wanted to share with you a story of a gig I had as a musician, which is what I used to do before I started making films. And I was playing this gig, we were playing a social, I believe, actually, and I was backing up a singer-songwriter, and he wanted to get the crowd excited because they were kind of, half drunk or whatever. And he suggested, who wants to hear Twist and Shout by the Beatles? Yeah, we want it. He's like, no. Who wants to hear Twist and Shout by the Beatles? And he got them kind of more excited. He kept asking them the question, had them stand up from their chairs. He had them come on to the dance floor. All of them, he turned around, the drummer started playing, right? So we're going to play this song. He turns around to us and says, do you guys know Twist and Shout? Now, it's a very simple song, so of course we do. C major, F major, G major. Everyone knows the tune. We're like, yep, we can play that song. He's like, great. They're up on the dance floor dancing. The drummer is going. He's like, all right, I'm going to go. And he plays A flat minor. So there are no minor chords anywhere in this song. And we quickly figure out that he actually doesn't know the song that he's called. But we're the band. So he's playing A flat minor. We are playing A flat minor. And we're all playing this kind of thing, and we don't know what it is. And everyone in the audience thinks it's some kind of very clever introduction that we've worked out ahead of time. But I realize that we are experiencing this kind of transcendent, sublime moment where as artists we're all listening to one another and using this kind of language that we have to create something in the moment that is spontaneous and that is magical. And while I think that night it ultimately ended in a train crash, the idea that there was a tension about not knowing what was going to happen next that really kept that in the air and kept it magical for a long time. And I thought, how can I apply that to film? How can I make that tension of not knowing what's going to happen next come alive in my movies? So I started working on a film called Inertia. And what I did with this is I got a bunch of actors together, 6 actors. I got them together in my little basement apartment on Kennedy Avenue. And we improvised a story. We figured out who the characters were, and we put them together, and we'd improvise scenes. Now, my thing with improvising scenes is I like to have them have goals that conflict to have something move the scene forward. I like to have them drop surprises on each other and secrets that are revealed in the scenes. So, for example, I'll tell someone, you're going to bring her flowers, and you're going to convince her to go on a romantic getaway to Niagara Falls to really put a spark back into your marriage. And I'll take her aside and say, you've been having an affair for the past 6 months. Today is the day you're going to tell them it's over. Go! Right? And then I'll put them together and watch the scene go. And we did this for about 6 months, and I shot in a little handy cam, and we got like 32 hours of video. And then I used the video to kind of boil it down to a script. And what I discovered was, while I was very interested in the kind of vernacular dialogue and the really interesting moments and the well-drawn characters that process brought me, the story ended up being kind of a meandering series of events, kind of like life. And when I went to write a script, I discovered that there was actually no story there. And so I had to do about 10 drafts of a script to kind of get to a final thing that we could shoot. So we shot the film, and I was very proud of it, but ultimately we didn't really get that magical thing that I was after. So I decided to work on another one. When I was doing my 3rd film, I had a chance to revisit this methodology. My 3rd film was called Zoe and Adam. And for Zoe and Adam, I thought, I'm going to write out the story ahead of time. And in order to maintain that experience that the actors have of moving through it and having it revealed to them as they live it, I'm not going to tell them what the story is. So to this day, I actually don't know why they signed up to do it, but we're going to make it this way, and instead of shooting video that I will use to draft a script, I am going to just get all of that and put it in the movie. So the first time things happen, they happen on camera. And I'd like to show you a little clip from the film, but before I do that, I'll talk to you briefly about the thing that I was concerned about, of course, is what happens if they don't make the choices on camera that I have decided in my little script that they're going to make. So we did a lot of work with getting them together ahead of time, over coffee a lot of times, and figuring out who are these characters and who are their parents and where do they come from. Angel wings or worm food and boxers or briefs, and we kind of figured it all out. And we also shot a series of backstory scenes, so scenes that were never going to be in the movie, but that I felt it was important for the actors to experience, right? In the case of Zoe and Adam, which is about a couple, their first meeting, their first date, their first kiss, their marriage, we did a whole bunch of these scenes that would hopefully cast a shadow into their performances in the movie. So in this scene that's actually, of course, in the movie, we see her discovery that her water has broken in the middle of the night just before they have their first kid. So we'll look at that.
Adam, can you come here? I think my water broke. I don't know. I think it's a little further on.
It's near the...
I don't know, it was just really weird.
Okay,
No, further on.
I know. I'm just looking, there's a section.
Can say at the beginning?
It's right here. Okay, so you're supposed to squat, get some toilet paper. Squat, like you gotta squat,
Well,
full squat,
okay,
full squat.
but you have to hold me, it's support me, I can't do it myself.
Okay, I'm doing it, okay.
Now what?
Now, is it dripping?
Yes?
Okay.
And what does that mean?
That means your water broke. Okay, you can stand up. Okay, what color is it? What color is
What
it?
color?
Is that...
What are the different colors it can be? What does it say?
Is that green?
Green.
So, thank you. Thanks. So, one of the cool things I discovered doing this, almost like a psychological experiment, was that 95% of the time, the actors were making the choices on camera that I had predicted in my secret little story that they would make. Once in a while, we'd have to do a second take and say, well, why don't you try it like this time? But most of the time, they did exactly what I expected they would do. And that brings me to what I find really exciting about this approach, is that we are watching real characters make real choices on the screen. And for me, that's very different than an actor pretending to be a character, pretending to make a choice. And I found that tremendously exciting about doing this particular film. At the same time, because I never knew where my actors were going to go, I had to kind of follow them around with a little handy cam that I was shooting this thing on, and I was doing the sound myself. And I am the world's worst sound recordist. If you make a movie and you want someone to ruin it, please hire me to come and do your sound, because I will destroy it. And so we spent a lot of time in this film fixing the sound in post. And because it was a very emotionally intense story, my actors dropped the F-bomb like everywhere, all over the place, and it became a little bit of a challenge to sort of get it seen broadly at the end. So when I made film number 5, again, I was lucky enough to have a chance to revisit it. You can't sort of do this all the time because people with money don't like knowing that the actors don't know what's going to happen in your film. But I was able to revisit it with blood pressure, and what I decided to do was hire a real camera person, 2 of them in fact, and real sound people, and put a bunch of money aside for post-production, which is the part where we fix everything that's gone wrong in production. And so we made this film just this past year. I'm going to show you a clip from this. Before I do, I'd like to quickly set it up. This is the story of a woman who receives mysterious letters from someone, and each letter asks her to perform a small task if she wants to get another letter. The letters are transforming her life, and so she becomes addicted to the letters and the tasks, even though the tasks are becoming increasingly risky. She does not tell her family or her coworkers or her husband what's going on. She keeps it a secret. So in this scene, she is going to the mailbox to see if there's another letter, and her daughter comes across her. So what I've given Michel Giroux, who is playing the lead role, as a direction is basically see if there's another letter. When your daughter comes close to the mailbox, get her away from there. However, I have given the daughter, played by Tatiana Maslany, a very different direction. And so this is what happened in take 1.
What are you looking for?
Hi, you hungry?
Mom, Yeah.
You remember Alex? We were friends like grade 4 kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. She texted me today.
Mm-hmm.
Have you run into her or anything, or?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, I wouldn't remember wouldn't recognize her.
Because she saw you.
Where? What? Where?
What? You tell me what.
I don't know. What did she say?
That she saw you at this class.
She was...
You know what I'm talking about.
I have started exercising.
When did that start?
It's new.
It's really weird that you're doing that.
You can come watch me.
Do you take them down? Do you?
Not yet, but I will.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to come?
Yeah, right.
You could.
I'd be terrible at it.
Punch! 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 Punch!
So Michelle's performance in that scene, for me, is something I never could have written, right? I mean, she has that, there's such truth in that moment of just being so busted and not knowing what you're busted on and trying to, I have a 5-year-old, so I've seen this many times since, trying to figure out what it is that the other person has on you, right? And it's just, that was take one. She had no idea that Tatiana was going to come up with that. And that's the kind of thing that I had been hoping to catch with this methodology. And I don't mean by any stretch of the imagination to belittle the work of actors who are doing the traditional method of acting, doing their Stanislavski analysis of the text and figuring out what it is and figuring out what's behind it in order to play that truthfully. They do marvelous work, and I have used them on many of my other films, using that kind of methodology. They perform a kind of a magic alchemy where they are pretending to be someone and you absolutely believe it. I in no way do this approach because I don't think my actors can do it the other way. I think that there is kind of maybe even no difference in terms of what you see on the screen. So you will ask, why do I go to all the trouble? And there are 2 reasons, and one of them I think is that when I get to do this, I am collaborating not with an actor with whom we are trying to get into the text from the outside, but rather an actor who is already in there, who starts inside there, inside the story. And they can, from inside there, tell me what's going on. And I find that very exciting. And the other thing I think gets to the core of the philosophical question that drives this for me, which is there a difference between someone doing something and someone pretending to do something? In terms of what we see on the screen, it might be identical, but is there actually a difference there? And I believe that there is. Even though we can't see it, there is a difference. Something happens for the first time once. And when it does, it is magical. It is pregnant with all the possibilities of the world. And in film, unlike other art forms, we can capture it that one time that it happens, that first time that it happens, and we can put it on the screen. And I think that is magical, that first time experience of art, even if it's in A flat minor. Thank you.